Okay, so welcome back. Tank content, yes. I have been dabbling a little bit with tanks lately, and I want to bring you a little bit of tank footage in between things. I have like 50 gigabytes or so of recorded footage, and I just played this thing in Tank Sim. This is the Raketenautomat, basically a Leopard 1 hull with a magazine of massive heat rockets on top. It is not the fastest vehicle. It does not have a good turret traverse, but it doesn't have to reload until the magazine here is empty, and it's really nasty. Disclaimer: I'm not a good tank player. I'm a good tactician, but I'm not a good tank player. So whenever it comes to like Call of Duty style gameplay, where you have to aim very quickly or something like that, or where you have to find a weak spot of a tank that appears in front of you in 0.5 seconds, I will fail. That is not my game style. That is why I struggle a bit with high tier. But with these kind of tiers, it's perfectly fine. So I will play this. I had this lineup right here. So the Leopard 1, the Weasel 1A4, which is very doesn't even deserve the name tank, but like your car door is probably thicker than this. But yeah, it's kind of funny. I didn't play this and this, but I played this. So yeah, this is what you're gonna see, and it's a really nice game where I won on my own because two team members were literally TikToking or were on the toilet or whatever. So I had to do it all alone. And it's really nice. So I will switch to the gameplay and I will tell you exactly in post what I did and why I did it. I think this is the best method to go here. So have fun, guys. Okay, so this is the battle setting, Alaska. I don't really like this map in particular for tanks because everything that involves a city would normally not involve tank combat in reality, right? It's not realistic at all. You would never send, if you're like a lieutenant or if a general or whatever, you would never send tanks to liberate a city, especially without infantry support and without proper helicopter support or whatever. So I can't say I like this. I prefer the open maps where you can engage in long range combat like tanks were designed to do it, right? So basically, the more modern the tanks get, the further the engagement ranges get. So basically, if you have a Leopard, well, a more modern Leopard, let's say a 1A5 or whatever, has been designed for, and everything after that, obviously. So these tanks have been designed for tank combat from like 1 to 3 kilometers, maybe. But we don't get this in War Thunder for some reason. Many maps revolve around these meme TikTok style quick-paced Call of Duty Counter-Strike action stuff, which I despise with my heart. But this is what we got. This is still bearable in the lower tiers because tanks are not that fast in this tier. Guns are mostly unstabilized. So that takes the speed out of things, and which makes tactical gameplay a little bit better. For me, at least, anyway. So here I'm approaching the middle of the map, and a big part of tank combat in War Thunder revolves around what I call ear radar. So I'm always stopping in between and just listening to stuff that's happening around, right? It's very easy to hear, for example, a T-50 engine from 2 blocks away. I don't know how realistic that is. Probably not that realistic if you assume that buildings block noises and would also echo between house blocks, right? But this is what it is, and I use the ear radar a lot for identifying directions of friendlies and enemies. And so here, I'm just carefully playing. In general, I'm really careful tank player. I like to do these slow, methodical advancements, or not even advancements. Like when it's appropriate, I would also like to just wait at certain spots and corners. And there in the front, you can hear combat going on, right? And that means for me, obviously, there must be an enemy right there. But instead of going directly there, I always choose like a little detour to not make it too obvious, because I'm assuming and expecting that the enemy tanks also know where I am based on my engine volume, right? Which would make sense. And so there's at least one enemy there. That was a little test fire, because you have 2 buttons on the Raketenautomat to fire. One for the left barrel and one for the right barrel. They don't fire at once. You have to press different buttons. And so that was just a little test fire for the right gun there. You don't need to worry about ammo in this thing, because both of your barrel hold 18 rounds. And with the new key combination, we got this up. Yeah, there's one. I heard that. If you paid attention to the sounds, not to my ramblings, you heard that too. With the new key combination, it's Alt plus E in my case. You can put down little ammo boxes and reload on the field, which is very handy. But in the front there, you can still hear a T50 engine. That could be anything. That could be a T54 of any variant. It could be a ZSU of any kind. A Chinese one, the WZ thing, I guess. And I can hear it driving to the left, so in advance I put the barrels down there. And just wait. These rockets are really, really strong. They can penetrate everything. And even if they don't penetrate the first try, you can put down a barrage of things and just hold the trigger down. That's what makes it so nasty. Basically, it's like the Swedish Ush thing. And there I see that we have the ZSU that I talked about, which sounds exactly like the T50. And there's something peeking out. And I'm saying, okay, come on. Be brave. You can do it. And yeah, he's done for immediately. Could I have done the same in a Leopard? Probably. But the heat rounds of the Leopard, and heat in general, I found is a little bit unreliable. So sometimes you fire on something and it doesn't do the damage you expect it to do. Sometimes it doesn't even set off ammo, which the T-50s store in the front. And sometimes when you fire on very lightly armored vehicles, this thing doesn't even trigger. Well, that's that. I still hear something there. That's why I'm still waiting. There's a little thing from us going to the front there. And by the way, this is one of these matches where it's really drawn out almost until the end. I think the match timer is 25 minutes. And the match is like 22 minutes or something long. Which makes it enjoyable for me, because it's everything that's super quick and dirty, I hate. It's like, I'm a sim player, right? I like to assess a situation, plan ahead, think about what I do next, think about what the enemy might do next. It's like chess, right? It's for me, in my mind, I'm playing chess, not tanks. Well, not, you know what I mean, right? So another thing I hear in front, the ear radar is always on. And we're slowly getting to the more interesting parts, because now the enemy has started to cap A and stopped. So when I do this, I do it to save time on a later cap that I plan. So basically I reset the cap, and then it ticks down even without you being in the circle, and then you can quickly cap it later. So I assume there's a guy, at least one guy, going for a win through capping and not through killing. And so I assume automatically that this guy is thinking ahead. And then I have found my arch nemesis for this match. Because normal players don't plan ahead. They don't do anything. They just hold W. Let's be honest. And it will turn out that this is exactly what will happen in the end. So again, I'm just waiting here because I hear tank noise all around me. I see enemies died because of the ZSU, and I'm planning or thinking that the ZSU might pop out soon. Either there where I'm aiming, or slightly to the right of that little sand hill, or to the left of the junction there. But it turns out that shortly after I said that, or thought that, the Saddam took it out, which is nice. And that makes clear for me that I can go ahead and advance. Another T-54 has been taken out. I haven't done anything really yet. I think I just killed 2 things. Which for a stock tank is fine, honestly. I'm not thinking that this will be a very high kill match or anything, because it's stock, right? So what can you do? Turret traverse is awful. You can't repair, really. You need others to repair, and nobody really cares. So yeah, you have to rely on your own, and in a stock tank that's sometimes hard. This thing has one advantage being stock compared to other tanks, and that is that it already has its best round available. So you don't need to upgrade the round because it only has 2, and you get 2 from the start. And so I hear a whining noise ahead. I'm 80% positive that this is from a Centurion or some Western tank. I'm still curious, not curious. I'm still careful. And now I've seen that our guys started to cap B, and I also heard that one enemy immediately reacted to it because I heard his engine volume pop up right when we started capping. And so I used this distraction to pop another T-54. It's close range, they don't really have a chance. Would I have been in a Leopard? That would not have been necessarily a kill shot, because you have the same amount of pen, but you don't have the shooting frequency, right? I can just hold the trigger down. And when I'm done with one trigger, I use the next trigger, and I have another 13 shots. So it's very interesting. Firestarter, the guy you're seeing right now on the right-hand side there, who just killed our IKV, he turns out to be the arch nemesis I was talking about. At the time of playing, I wasn't sure what the hell this thing is, the M53 or whatever. When I read the name, it almost sounds Western, right? And so I wasn't sure at the time what that even is. I don't know all the tanks by heart. So I thought, is it maybe one of these little captured Hungarian something? I don't know. But then I just checked the scoreboard, and I've seen that we are only against the USSR. So it must have been a USSR only tank. But I've never seen it yet. Especially in Sim. I might have sometime back, but at least I can't remember. And so, because the last kill was some time ago and I can't hear anything, I'm just starting the cap. And it is already almost fully uncapped. And so I thought, okay, we have this guy left. And when I'm parking my butt right here, I can defend quite well. I can defend against the front, against the back, and basically 360, because I know and hear when an enemy is approaching me, right? I can already hear something. And please, guys, when you hear, like in plane sim, in air sim, when you hear a follow me or a position marker, you respond to this. Please, because it's helpful. It's really helpful. Not all the time you can identify engine noises clearly. for example, if that would be a match where the Chinese were also on the team, they also have an M48, a Taiwanese M48, which has the same engine noise as a Western M48. Duh. So this guy approaching could have been, in that case, an enemy, right? Not here, but just assuming. So please, if you hear a follow me, respond to the follow me. So right now, I'm just waiting for this M48. I'm pointing the gun away from him to not give him any bad feelings. Sometimes people will quick shot you or team kill you because they're nervous, and even when you're in a cab or if it's obvious that you're not an enemy, they will still, well, I think if you have ever played tanks, you know what I mean. So this guy I told, please watch our back while I watch the other directions, so this and front and the right side. And he said, okay, so now we're capping. But I now hear, shortly before we have capped, another engine volume or tank noise, whatever. And this turned out to be my arch nemesis, the guy I was speaking about earlier. And I see that he is engaging our M60, 40, whatever that is. And I tried to get a view on him here, but I decided to quickly not go into the same direction he's already looking, but first wait, because our guy seems to be not heavily damaged. Maybe he's a little bit of, I don't know, track damage or whatever. But he is not dead, and he is not smoking, and he is also not calling for help. So I remain calm. But at the same time, I also heard that the guy from outside the cab is calling in artillery, and I have no armor. And I would like to use the noise of the artillery to go around this building. And I know where he is, right? He's in front of that building, so I know where he is. And the noise of the artillery and the general confusion I would plan to use to use it as a distraction. I'm a little bit too late for that, but he's already engaging the M60 again, which creates, well, the distraction I wanted anyway. And so I take the risk here and quickly splash him. I knew he was in the cab because it was still ticking down, although we both were in it. So that means that even if your team is in the majority in this cab, it will still tick down, at least if one enemy is in the cab. So I knew he was in the cab, and there was only one spot where he could be, and that was this one. And now I'm running away from the cab. Why? Well, because to not give my position away. Very simple. If I'm staying in the cab, he knows where at least one team member is, and the guy who was last in the cab was the guy who destroyed him, and that was me. So I don't want him to know where I am and what I'm doing. I know I'm only playing against this one guy, and I know that we have 3 players left. At least I think, or assume we have 3 players left, including me. And I'm asking in the chat where the F everybody is, because I have not seen these guys at all, whole game. There's been action around B, and nothing happened. They didn't show up. Like normal players would go where the action is, and one dude said, I was AFK, sorry. And I'm answering that he stop tick-tocking and then get into the game. I don't know why people press search for game or to battle and then leave the computer. Or why would you do that? Like it's like turning on the television and then going outside or something. Like, why would you, People are people, right? Sometimes it's strange. And to even give less of an impression of where I am, turn my engine off. No, I don't need to shout anymore. Now I can do tank ASMR. Yes. So, the engine of this thing is, I think, kind of loud, honestly. At least that's how it sounds when I'm driving it. It's like a little whining sound and supercharger sound or whatever that is. And I'm telling now the guys, at least the one guy who responded, to get to B because that's where the action is, and stop capping our cap because A, it's irrelevant because we are leading already, and B, it gives the enemy an impression of where we are, right? So why would you do this if you're in the lead? And we are in the lead massively, 18-12. So no point of capping A. As I said, most people don't really know and care about tactics or strategy. They just, I don't know. They're basically playing Call of Duty, right? And the guys killed the guy who was just capping A, and I'm thinking, God damn it! God damn it! He's killing everything. What is the M53? So when I saw him, to me that seemed, at the time of playing, it seemed like a AAA. But apparently, that thing is really strong. It killed tanks left and right. It appears to have no armor, but it also appears that he's really successful because he already killed 5 guys, although he died twice, which means he has no life left. And now, because nobody helps, I think, okay, the guy is now capping the M53. I have to do something on my own. That is really dangerous, because now the rules are reversed. I have to approach, and he just has to listen. So if he positioned himself intelligently enough that he can intercept me, the game's over. I do have other spawns, yes. I do have 2 more spawns, because this is still my first life. But to get from the spawn to B again and interrupt the cap, that could be really close or impossible time-wise, right? So I'm driving now down to A. It's already like 40% capped now. And at the same time, I'm not choosing a direct route through the city because I don't want him to hear me until the latest point, basically, right? I don't want him to... If I'm going straight down, I have to take so many curves through the city and navigate around so many buildings, and that makes my approach not only slower, but also he has more time to audibly, I think that's the word, to audibly spot me. And so I'm flanking around A instead, hoping to get a good view on him. And now that A is here, around here, and now that the circle is here, and that now my heart is pounding a little bit, will we be able to spot him? No. But we are doing the same game now to him. So I can't see him here. And I don't hear him either. Yet. So I'm deciding, okay, so since this route is completely clear for the moment, I will go to the cap zone and do the same he did to us earlier. And that is to reset the cap, because when I'm in the cap, it will start to tick backwards. And he has to do something. He has to react to this. And immediately he knows where I am and drops arty. I have no choice, though, but to remain here. I'm screaming for help again in the chat, but nobody cares. And I'm just hoping for a mistake on his part here. I hear his engine noise. He knows where I am. I know where he is. I'm just keeping my 2 gun barrels pointed at that crossroads right there. So I'm thinking, if he's maneuvering right now, that must have some sense, right? You would not maneuver if you don't want to go somewhere. A is sticking down again. That's good for us. So surely he will do something shortly. And indeed, I hear it. I hear something. And he does the mistake of moving. He did the mistake of moving. And that wins us the match on kills. That's my fifth kill of the round, and it wins us the round. If I would have the help from the Leo, it would have been better, but yeah. Very successful. I like the thing. It's dirty, so I love it. And thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoy the tank content, just leave a comment. Thanks, and until the next one. Bye-bye.